What's going on, guys? My name is Anwar and I'm going to be doing a tutorial on how to fix the F30 BMW 335 brake light malfunction. A lot of you might have gotten this message before and might be wondering what it's from. If you're like me, you got the message repeatedly, you changed the bulbs and you noticed that you'd put in new bulbs and right away it'd pretty much be the same error message. But this is going to show you what I found to be the issue and how I repaired it. What ended up happening was I would get left brake lamp malfunction, and every time I would do this, it would just go insane. So I ended up replacing the bulbs multiple times, and it did not fix any of this. And what I noticed was that my brake light, before being stuck on this permanently, would kind of intermittently go into this mode and off. So there would be times where I'd be driving and I would have this from the get-go, and then later on throughout my drive the brake light would work perfectly fine. So these right here are actually brand new bulbs. I ended up buying these, and these were the last bulbs that I bought where I was like, okay, if this isn't working, there has to be something else wrong. So what I ended up doing was I ended up taking out the brake light and noticing upon closer inspection that one of the pins from this piece right here was actually burned and stuck into there. It actually got melted. I'm not sure exactly how, but after some research I found out that the ground cable is not strong enough in this, so this is a common issue with the BMW F30. So in this tutorial I'm going to be going over exactly how to take out the brake light first and foremost, and then how to repair this little issue that we have going on. These are going to be some of the things that you're going to need to fix this issue. You can buy all of these at AutoZone for under 30 bucks, or roughly $32 total. I will put the link to the exact items that I used in the description below. Also, you're going to need to buy these two pieces, which you can either get on online. Somewhere like ECS Tuning has these pieces, and your local BMW dealership should also have them as well for a little more expensive than ECS and the online websites. So this piece right here, which is the socket repair kit for this car, to fix the socket, cost $19.46, came out to $21.26 with tax. On ECS Tuning, I believe it is $15.99, but shipping was like $8 unless I bought a lot of other stuff. So I just ended up getting it at the dealership, which came out cheaper for me. But if you're in need of more parts or cleaning materials or anything, you can easily get this at ECS Tuning and get the free shipping available. I also had to buy this at the dealership, which is the actual back piece of the brake light. This ended up costing me a total of $52.66. I believe online it was $30-something, but again, sometimes it's just easier for me to get things, in the store. Just stop by, pick them up, and yeah, that was it. As with any time that you work on your vehicle's electrical system, you should always disconnect the battery. To do that, you access the trunk, open it up, open up the trunk. There's this little spinny thing right here, that, and down there is the battery. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to disconnect the negative battery terminal from right there. I know this is probably going to be a little hard to see, and this is my first tutorial, so I'm working with what I got. I got some lights right there, but if it's a little dark, just let me know. I'll probably end up getting some more lights so that I can film more of these tutorials for you guys. But what you're going to want to end up doing is you're going to want to end up using a 10mm right here on this nut. Just going to loosen it up. Once you've loosened that nut, what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and pull that off. Pull off the negative terminal. Everything's going to go dark. I usually just put a microfiber cloth there just so it doesn't make connection while I'm working on anything. Once you have disconnected the battery, there's this little plastic cover right here. I just use anything flat. You can probably use a flathead or anything else to take off this little screw thing right here. Being gentle not to break it because it is plastic. But this will allow you to remove this little cover right here, which will expose the bolts to removing the brake light. Once you have removed the cover, you should be able to see your nuts. These are going to be two 10mm right here. You're going to be able to use the same 10mm that you used to disconnect the battery. Same ones are going to fit in there, and you're going to be able to just loosen these bad boys up. So once you have loosened the two nuts right here on the right, the two 10mm nuts, what you're going to do is you're going to want to pull out this brake light. Easiest way to do this is by kind of sticking your finger in a crevice back here and other hand on here to kind of support, and just wiggle it around until it comes out like that. So once you get to this part right here and you have the brake light kind of hanging out, you'll see that you have the wire connecting the socket to the actual piece itself that we have to replace. What you're going to have to do is you're going to have to remove this by getting a flathead screwdriver or anything flat and sticking it in this notch. There's like a, let me see if I can zoom in for you guys real quick. Oh, wrong way. So there's this little notch right here. What you're going to want to do is stick something in there like that, and then shimmy it out, and boom, your brake light is completely out and out of the way. So now you literally have access to both of the pieces that we need to replace. We're going to need to replace this socket connector right here, and we're going to need to replace this entire back piece right here as well. Once you get to this point right here, what you're going to end up doing is you're just going to end up cutting this using your wire tool. So I just ended up cutting the wires as short as I possibly could right here. Be sure to keep in mind the order that they're in, because you're not going to want to connect these back into the new socket in the wrong order. The next thing I'm going to do once I have these off is I'm going to use my wire tool, use the stripper to get rid of some of that to expose the wire. As you can see, that worked perfectly. So I'm going to go ahead and do that to the rest of them. So I would recommend doing about 1/2 inch in this section right here. 1/2 inch on all of them. Let's see, oops. Have a lot of that wire showing. The next thing you're going to do right here is you're going to use these little metal socket things that are actually going to go inside the socket. What you're going to do is you're going to take the pieces off. I already took one off right here, but to do that all you have to do is pretty much bend the thing back and forth from the frame like this. So just bend, 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 and it's off. So we're going to need 5 pins for this, I believe. No, 4 pins. So basically I'm just going to be taking off all 4 pins that I'm going to need. Something I forgot to mention in the video is that these little rubber things right here need to go over the wire, and it would probably be easier to do before you cut it, before you strip it. In my case, I had already stripped it, so what I did is I went ahead and twisted the cable as finely as I could, and then I put it on with the little gasket things to the bottom, so the little skinnier part goes on top. I put it over, and then I kind of just gently twist the same way that I was twisting the wire so that it wouldn't get stuck on there. Once you do that, you should still have some cable revealed. Then you'll have this little metal piece. As you can see, I already did one of these myself right here. You're going to want to put this little metal piece right here, and there is these little tabs that you need to tighten. You're going to need to go ahead and tighten these little tabs right here over the green thing, and then tighten the other tabs to basically tighten around the wire and create a connection. So we're going to go ahead and do the rest of these right here. I will go ahead and leave the camera running so you can kind of see it. This is probably going to be one of the most difficult parts of the fix, is getting this done, and probably one of the things that takes the most amount of time, but you know, doing this ourselves is definitely way better and way cheaper than going to the dealership and paying $800 for this job. Now, in order to reveal the rest of it, because you're going to need to add a ground wire over here to the brown cable. So this, where is it? Right here. This brown cable right here is way too weak, and that's what's causing the actual brake light to pretty much short circuit and melt the connector. So what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to pull this tape down to expose a little bit more of the wire, and we're going to be adding a secondary ground wire to this brown cable shortly. Hopefully doing that will prevent this from happening again. I've read on the BMW forums that this has helped other BMW owners, so we're going to be doing it and seeing how it works out ourselves. So once you get to this section right here, what you're going to do is you're going to find the ground cable, which is the brown one, and about 3 inches down, what you're going to do is you're going to strip a little tiny piece of this so that you can expose some bare wire. So once you have that little section complete, you're going to go ahead and grab the wire that you got at AutoZone, which in my case was this 14 gauge primary wire. I could have gone with 16, but I decided to go with the 14. So for this, I'm going to end up using about 5 to 6 inches of this wire. I'm going to go ahead and just guesstimate where it's at. And now I'm just going to wrap this around here. Like that. Make sure they're touching well. And what we're going to do is we're going to grab some electrical tape like this, and we're just going to wrap it. Okay, we're going to make sure it's nice and insulated. No water or moisture going in there. That, just a couple wraps is good. So once you have all of that back in there, you can grab your electrical tape. And start wrapping this. This. Nice and tight, and there you go. So once you're at this point right here, you're going to make sure that all the cables line up with your little piece perfectly, which is going to be black and yellow on the left, black and white right here, ground kind of in the middle, and then this lavender one all the way on the right. See, we have the exact same piece right here, as you can tell. So we're pretty much going to be hooking this up back the way it goes, which is this way. So we're going to be inserting these little pins into here and then pushing this little tab right here all the way in to lock it into place. It's clicked in, and then if you notice right here, we have all three on the right plugged in now, and we have 2 blue spaces, and then we have one, the lavender one, plugged in the middle. So make sure to put them in the exact same spots as you found them so you don't mess anything up. So I'm going to put this in there. It's going to click in. Over here we have these blue little pieces right here. These are going to be to seal these up. So you're going to go ahead and stick this into there. And I'm pretty sure you can push it in with a cable or something else, but basically you're going to want to stick these in there. I'm going to go ahead and use this cable right here, this 14 gauge. Push it in. Push it in. Like that. And then the moment of truth, what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to go ahead and push this tab in. So this is going to lock everything in place. Once you do this, if you did not put him in the right spot, you will not be able to use this again. If you mess this part up, don't worry, it's not the end of the world. You'll just have to go buy another one of these 20 something dollar pieces or $15 pieces. If you want, you can order multiple ones just to be safe. But once you're up to this point, you just click this in. In the beginning, I couldn't figure out how to get it at first. I was trying to push it with my fingers and that wasn't working. What I figured out you can use is you can use the edge of this tool right here, this rounded part right here, to put it about right there and just squeeze it to lock it into place. Don't squeeze too tight because you don't want to break any of this electrical stuff as it's very sensitive. So once you get to this point and you have this connection already put on there, the socket put on there, and you're just missing this, what you're going to end up doing is you're going to have to create a little hole in here using a drill bit. So to remove that little cap, you can just use a flathead screwdriver. Be careful because it's plastic and it could break. So just loosen it up piece by piece, section by section, like this, nice and slow. There you go. So what I did for this was I found a drill bit that pretty much matched the width of this cable. Put this through there. This through there. And then what we're going to end up doing is we're going to end up getting rid of some of this. Like that. Grabbing our little piece. Sticking this in there. Like so. Using our crimper. We're going to put it in here. I'm just going to make it nice. There you go. And this is pretty much it for this part right here. So for the rest of this, we're going to have to break off one of these little pieces right here. I know it sounds crazy, but we're going to have to break it off to improve it long term. So let's go ahead and do that. So then what you have to do is, now that you have this, you should open up this little female connector just a bit. This looks good. Nice and open. So now this is the part that you guys might be a little hesitant to do, but trust me, you need to do this or else this is not going to work. So what you're going to end up doing is you're going to end up getting this little flat head, something very thin, and just pretty much getting this little connection piece out of there. There you go. So once you have that out, as you can see, it's out. You might be worrying and saying, oh shit, it's broken, it's not going to work anymore, but trust me, it will. You're going to grab your little tool again, and you're going to cut that little additional part. Here, let's get this out straight, so you can see what it looks like straight. As you notice, there's a little notch right here. We're just going to go ahead and cut off to make it all one size. Like that. And then what we're going to end up doing is grabbing this little connection piece and just sliding it through there. Once it's slid through there, squeeze it back up and make sure it's nice and tight. Like that. And then flatten it down. You can get rid of some of this cable right here. Flatten it down. And boom. Nice sturdy ground. This section right here, and you've hooked everything up. Everything should be up nice and tight. Connection in the back is plugged in. This is perfect the way it's supposed to be. You can go ahead and install your bulbs. Just quick, easy, push in. Turn to the right, they're in, and now you can just put this entire socket back in to your brake light. So and you're going to want to hear all of these snap into place like that. Like that. And once you're there, push it back in. Nice and snug. And you're good to go. The rest of it you just follow on the steps in reverse and you should be good to go. So let's see if this thing works. I just closed up the trunk, connected the battery, did all of that, and instead of going in the car to check it out, I'm just going to push the key fob and see if this light lights up, because it wasn't lighting up before. And it does. As you guys can tell, it turned on, which I'm so happy about because I just saved myself $800 that this would have cost to take to the dealership. I feel like this is more of a permanent solution anyway, since it seems to be a faulty problem with BMW. I love these cars to death, but sometimes they can be a little finicky and very expensive to fix unless you either want to do it yourself or have buddies that like working on these cars anyways. I just want to thank you guys for tuning in. This was the first tutorial I've done, but I have a few other projects in mind that I need to do pretty soon. I know I have the valve cover gasket that I need to replace. That's probably going to be my next tutorial. But for now, thank you guys for tuning in. Don't forget, hit the bell, subscribe if you guys want to see more. And yeah, thank you.